Morning, everyone. It's Monday. It's a new week, July 10th. July 10th. This is just, as you get older, the years really, the days really start moving along a lot faster, don't they? So,
Yes, they do.
I mean, it is so crazy that it's already July. So, we are Footprints Forward. We're all here with the same goal in mind, trying to find solutions for you, trying to introduce you to people who are doing great things throughout the country, throughout wherever, trying to help others through mental health difficulties and the thoughts of suicide. So, we are being joined by a couple of our family members here today. Just to let you guys know, Stephanie is here. She's in and out. She is on the road. So, Stephanie, we're going to have you introduce yourself, and that way, because you're right here right now. So,
all good. Thank you, Zach. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Santos. I am a cause entrepreneur with Hope Wine. So what I do is I spend fundraising, gifting, private events, and wine delivery. I absolutely love having this platform because it's who we are giving back to. Some of the organizations that I work with back, it's really great to be able to put a nonprofit on a platform and be able to help fundraise. So through pouring of wine, you can sift, give back, and give gifts that give back year round. Also, co-founder built some properties and cabins for veterans and to realize the housing crisis in our veteran communities. What I've learned in the nonprofit space over the last few years is that there's a big problem that's not spoken about. So our mission with PNS Properties, and I collaborate with Zach on a monthly basis and highlight nonprofits that really need more exposure. So through Community Pay It Forward, collaboration with One Hope Wine, we do a monthly fire. You're happy to reach out to my link tree. Is there, and I'd be happy to connect with you. Thank you, Zach.
no problem. We're so sorry. You're cutting out quite a bit on that. So just check on in with us whenever you can, Stephanie. We know that you're on the road, but we're glad that you're here with us. Next up, we've got Patrick. And Patrick, Stephanie was just mentioning the One Hope Wines monthly fundraiser. You are the one that we're introducing this month, and we had a very, very passionate show on Wednesday, and you introduced a lot of the great things that you do. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody right now, and the reason why you are here with us on Footprints Forward.
Yes, my name is Patrick Myers. I am the founder of A Call Edge Global, which is the holding company for Consuming Fire Media, which is what I'm doing a couple podcast shows out of. The first one being the Men's Pit podcast. This is a show we just got done filming that earlier on this morning, me and Dennis and another brother, E. And this is the show just dealing with men's issues, and how we can walk as men with God and according to His calling. The second one that we are getting ready to launch here in August is going to be Voices in the Fire, and this is one where people get to tell their testimonies of how they walked through the fire with God and how He delivered them out of that. and also doing this with you guys. I'm somebody that took in April 26, 2021. I took my life, and the Lord gave it back to me, and just the things that men go through and people in general that are just suffering from depression, anxiety, um, um, just overall, just trying to figure out what their self-worth and purpose is. I've been through that whole journey and just was blessed to have the opportunity to even talk about that. And so I really, really love this show and you guys and stuff like that for just having the heart to do that. The second thing, the last thing is the Youth Initiative, which is a program that I'm currently founding right now, and we're in our third session. And what this is a ministry to go and reach the youth of this generation by not just having a youth group, not just having a place where they meet, but informing kids of their identity and then giving them the tools needed for them to figure it out for themselves. A lot of times, like a lot of today's issues that are going on with kids, we're trying to approach them from an adult perspective. And sometimes we need to get out the way and let the kids come up with solutions to their own issues and problems, because they're very quite capable at as early as 6, 7. They're capable of doing great things. You see MasterChef, you see all these other things that all these other kids are doing. Well, your kids can actually do that. Actually, any kid is capable of doing that if we was to give them the right environment, right tools, right instruction. And that's pretty much the vision of the Youth Initiative. Also, it's founded here in White House, but we're working on ways to make this a global effort. So.
Yep, and we're going to be trying to help Patrick raising money all month long, and join us next a week from this Wednesday, and you can hear more about Patrick and his initiatives. Fantastic stuff. Dennis, Mr. I guess West Coast guy right now.
As of right now, yes, that's absolutely true. Well, I'm Dennis Schroeder. I am a retired Army officer. I am the founder of a nonprofit organization called the Price of Freedom Foundation. We are dedicated to telling the complete life stories of those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who died while serving in our military. And basically, we produce books and videos. This is our very first book, basically telling the story of machinist mate First Class Alfonso Abdel Amos, who was lost at sea after 18 and a half years of service. We believe that these men and women who make the sacrifice and the families who are left behind deserve more than what they currently are able to get. Not that the people aren't willing to do a lot for them, but one of the biggest common fear that actually is realized is 6 months to a year after a service member dies. Most Gold Star families have the sense that their loved ones have been forgotten outside of their circle of family and friends. And so we want to end that. We want to create a legacy piece that can be handed down from generation to generation. That's the book. And then we want to have that story told on an ongoing basis to as wide an audience as possible. And that's the purpose of the videos.
Such a beautiful program. Such a beautiful program, Dennis, partly because you know what, you guys do step up even in cases of a veteran, who takes their own life. Because look, the truth is the truth, and even a veteran who takes their own life, they're still a hero. They still deserve to be celebrated for what they've done. So I love your program, and we're proud to be a small part of it. The web detective, Mr. Trevor Gibbs, how you doing, brother? Other than frozen.
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. How about yourself?
Okay, doing good. How was your?
You're frozen.
Am I frozen? Uh-oh.
I don't know. I'm asking. There seems to be a little bit of a unstable connection going on here at the moment, so it might be my side. But
Yeah, I hope so.
Sorry, repeat your question.
Yeah, go on ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to be bringing on our guest for today.
Well, I'm the web detective, also known as Trevor Gibbs. Also works the other way, of course. Why am I here? Well, I being the web detective, primarily thinking in the way how I can reach out to help non-profits or even businesses to make sure that they have an online presence. One of the biggest things that we've found through the years, especially with non-profits, that they don't have the capacity to see how well they are coping with the compliance side of their website, the compliance side of their marketing, but also to find new ways of actually doing some fundraising. A lot of people feel that fundraising is just really an event, and I come along with some new concepts and some new ways to start thinking about this, that we can actually think about a revenue stream by reaching out and using the local community and the supporters and the donors you have to build those relationships. I'm basically, I would call us a relationship marketer, and that's what I do, and that is why I'm here. That's why I'm passionate to help people like yourselves.
Well, Trevor, I'm really glad that you are here. One of the things that I definitely suggest that you do is reach out to Trevor and find out why it's so important to have your website ADA compliant. That's something that Trevor really works on, and making sure that people with any difficulty can make sure that they can follow along with your website. So thank you very much, Trevor. Our other brother from another mother, Mr. Z, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, my brother from another mother, and pardon my tardiness, and thank you for having me here. I have to agree with you, brother from another mother. Definitely a good idea to have an ADA compliant website, and it's never too late to call the web detective and everybody here. So with that being said, my name is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant that specializes in helping nonprofits, veteran business owners, and entrepreneurs like yourselves who are looking to modify, develop, or redevelop a custom website Z World is waiting for. Back to you, my brother from another mother.
Well, thank you very much, Z. I greatly appreciate it. Hey, my name is Zach. I started Community Pay It Forward after I was run off the road on a motorcycle and left in a ditch for over 7 hours. Thankfully, they came over and turned off the battery, because Harley-Davidson batteries are really stupid expensive. But I decided to start this company because during the time of convalescence, here in Colorado, we had a lot of forest fires, things that you guys out east right now are really dealing with, forest fires up in Canada and the floods in New York City and stuff, or New York State. So, you know, all of our hearts are going out to you up there. Please stay safe. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to get together with a group of people like you were just introduced to, and help change the world for the better. We understand that, you know, everybody keeps telling us, well, I don't watch the news because there's nothing good that they ever talk about. If we change the narrative, they're going to have to talk about it. So let's get together. You can join me at communitypayitforward.us. Now on to our special guest for the show. I met her in one of my Colorado networking groups. She is in the other side of the state, the prettier side of the state. Miss Sarah Kuoku, how are you doing?
I'm well, Zach. Thank you so much. How are you today?
I'm doing great, doing great. You are approaching this from a genetics standpoint. You specialize in complete and total health and rebuilding. Can you go on ahead and explain to everybody what we're looking at?
Sure. Well, real quickly, my name is Sarah Kuoko, like Zach said, and that's interesting you use that phrase because I tell people that have never been to Colorado that I'm from the pretty side of Colorado. I am on the Western Slope in Grand Junction, I believe quite a bit south where you are, Zach. And yes, my heart goes out to anybody dealing with massive forest fires. We've had our share of those over the years, a couple summers ago. So it's not good on any level, but sadly part of one of the things of nature, right? So
Yep.
What I do is I am with a company called SNP Nutrigenomics. And I want to say out of the gate, I'm not a medical professional. I am not a formally trained health person. I'm somebody who's dealt with a lot of health issues and had a lot of health issues in our family. And that's what kind of led to my getting involved with genetics, and specifically how we can support our unique individual genetic differences with nutrition. I don't know if you want me to go into that process real quickly.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
This is about
great.
you today.
All right, so it's really a simple process. It seems to be a difficult thing for people to wrap their heads around, but it is very, very simple. Genetics has come a long way since the Human Genome Project, and so has technology. And the beauty of that is we are able to combine genetic information and the constant discovery with nutritional studies and information because of a software that we have developed. We own it. It has been developed over about the last 30 years. And it's evergreen in a sense of it's constantly evolving based on new information. So what we do is a real simple cheek swab. You can order it. We send it to your home. You do a cheek swab on both sides. We have the little vials you put it in and screw it down. It's pre-addressed envelope. Just to let you know, there is nothing with your name on your DNA samples. Everything we do is barcoded. And so even though the company has your name attached to your barcode, the DNA swabs are sent to a HIPAA compliant, CLIA certified, CAP certified laboratory that never sees your name. The only time they ever come together is when they have pulled your DNA panel and they send those results to us. And so we're the only ones that have that. We are also HIPAA compliant. What that means is we would not only be out of business, we could be facing serious fines if we were to ever share any of your information. So it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. DNA samples are destroyed within about 6 weeks. Once the testing's been done, they've verified the results. That information comes to us. It is then put through our system, our software program, and we develop 11 reports. One of them is what's called our code complex. That looks at 19 specific genes. We actually pull a panel of, I think we're at about 100 right now. But we can't supplement on all of those, right? Because even just for the 19, we're looking at 10 capsules of supplement a day or a scoop of powder, however you choose to have it. But the information is still incredibly valuable because it all works together. Genes do not play alone. There isn't like one gene that does a job and another gene that does another job. They have their jobs, but they work as teams. So once you get your reports, it'll be in your portal. You will have a code complex report, which is like an overview, and it goes through the areas that we supplement for. You will receive a custom formula for a supplement that we can then custom compound for you. That is done using raw ingredients. Everything is third-party tested before it ever comes to our facility. We test it again when it comes to our facility, and we test it again before it's shipped out. We do that every month for every individual. Your reports have a plethora of health information in them. We cover areas of mood, brain cognition, healthy weight management. I'm not going to go through the whole list because I can't remember them all right off the top of my head, and most other people won't either. So cardio health, energy, inflammatory response, immune system, all the major areas. And what we do is the reason we look at these specific genes is because they're what we call actionable genes, meaning these are genes in our bodies that can actually and are affected by nutrition.
You know, it's always a good thing when you do so much that you can't remember everything you do. That's what I say. So, Sarah, what are some of the biggest things that you guys are finding out with your program? What are some of the problems that people what are the first question is, what are some of the bigger things that you're finding out? And then what are some of the things that people can do to make small adjustments to make their lives a little bit better with these studies?
That is a loaded question because we're
Right.
individual. So everybody's reports are going to be different, and everybody's lifestyle hacks are going to be slightly different depending on what the results of their tests are. So one of the most profound and exciting things that we have that we look at, and this is, I've been doing this for almost 5 years. This has just been within the last 9 months, I think, that this was actually being able to be combined with everything we do. And this is what's called the COMT gene. The COMT gene affects literally everything. It affects how we perceive the world around us and respond to it. And so it's called often called the warrior gene. So a warrior, I'm gonna go through this a little bit slow. But what the warrior gene, that basically is somebody who, they might come off as a bit standoffish or unemotional or unattached. And it's not so much that they're unemotional, it's just that how they respond to the world around them. They take information in differently, they respond to it differently. These people also have a tendency to blow through experiences. So in order to get what we call a dopamine hit, probably familiar with that, they have to do whatever it is that's giving them this. They find something that gives them a satisfaction, a feeling of satisfaction, but they blow through it so fast they have to do it more often to keep getting that dopamine hit. Whereas somebody on either the middle of the road or on the warrior side, they experience it more level, and so more fully, and so they don't have to constantly be repeating it to get that experience. That can lead to a lot of issues. It can lead to food issues, because we find foods that, of course, sugars and different things, but even just flavors, textures, whatever it is for an individual that gives them that dopamine hit. But in order for them to keep getting it, they keep eating it. And this is how we see issues with overeating, obesity, because it leads to those types of behaviors. Same thing with, it can be with food, it can be work, it can be with narcotics, it can be with alcohol. It's whatever gives that individual that feeling of that sensation, that dopamine hit. When they find those, they tend to want to do it again and again and again, because they're not getting a sustained feeling of satiation. It's a quick hit. So that can, obviously you can see how that can lead to a lot of issues. So that's one of the biggest one. And the really interesting thing we found out is if a person who is a warrior, has the warrior variation of the gene, also has a variant on an FTO gene, which is how we store and metabolize food and fat, they can have like a 25% higher craving. And so they feed off each other. Let me back up just a little bit, because I just realized I didn't really explain how. So when we're looking at these genes, what are we looking for? We are looking for a variant, what we call a SNP, hence the name of the company. A SNP is an acronym for a single nucleotide polymorphism. That's a variant. And we all have the same genes, but our genes aren't all the same. Meaning we all have the exact same genes in our body. That's part of being a human. But our genes don't always function the same. And if you have a variant, that's where those differences in functions come from. You can either have no variant, which would be a green in our report. You could inherit it from one parent, or you could inherit a variant from both parents. And so when we look at those, we look at how can we support that gene variant with nutrition. And that's where the peer-reviewed studies on nutrition and raw ingredients and minerals and all of the good stuff comes from.
Why you say that we've all got the same genes? How come why are the genes different from one person to another?
Well, the genes are same. It's the function that can be different. And that's because if you have inherited a variant on a gene, it's going to impact how that gene functions. But because these are actionable genes we're talking about, I'm not talking about the ones that we can't really affect. Okay, some of them, they just are what they are, but there's thousands that can be affected by nutrition. And so that's what we look at, is what are the ones we can actually do something about. Now, I want to say this is not a silver bullet. There is no magic wand. There is no silver bullet out there. This is foundational nutrition, meaning if we can look at, and this is why a lot of providers, wellness providers, have really started embracing what we're doing. It helps them narrow down. If somebody comes in, you can have a plethora of issues. But knowing exactly what that's tied to or what's underneath, what's the root cause of that, can be really difficult and time consuming to figure out. What we do with these reports is help narrow down. It's like, where could this be coming from? So if you have if it's obesity, if it's you're having a lot of cardio issues, if you're whatever it is, we're going to look at the genes. Are you genetically predisposed to this? If not, what could be the other causes of it? If so, what can we do about it?
Wow.
And so when you asked about what a person could do, let me look at one of them that has I'm looking for some that have. Okay, so if you have several of these SNPs related to inflammation in our inflammatory response report, we have a list of the ingredients that have been shown to support the various genes with those variants on them. Okay, we also include lifestyle hacks. So if you have inflammation issues, you're going to see a thing that talks about consuming adequate amounts of essential fatty acids. And it talks about EPA and DHA are especially important. Avoiding excessive sugar and alcohol intake. Avoiding environmental toxins, which like heavy metals, pesticides, cigarette smoke. Managing your stress, maintaining good dental hygiene. And these all may seem like, what does my dental hygiene have to do with anything? It has a lot to do with everything.
It really does. I know that dental hygiene is one of the main reason for heart attacks and strokes, and that's something that my father has had to learn the hard way. You know, Sarah, when you were just talking about that, I could feel myself getting in trouble because, well, Hostess didn't do me any good. They created this wonderful little thing here, and let me yeah. Well, no, I got to do this. They created this little wonderful thing here. It's not a ding dong. It's a Twinkie shaped like a ding dong. I'm in so much trouble now.
That's evil. That's just evil.
Oh, it is. It is. It's just evil. And then you said stay away from heavy metal. I don't know what to do.
Okay, well, there are lab. I'm going to finish this really quick. Those things, get them out of your house, get them away. I know they're hard. They're addictive. They are addictive.
Don't worry. They'll get out of my house soon.
No, I don't mean eat it. No. Anyway, there are, I got so many things are running through my mind right now. Thank you for that. Dental hygiene, actually, I don't remember at what point it changed, but back in the Wild West, that was like the number one killer. It was the number one reason people died was because of poor dental hygiene. So it's really, it's sad that people don't understand that, how important that is, because it's so simple. But it also, so your report comes with stuff like that, and it has links, and it gives you more information on what you can do and why and all this of those things. We also talk about, this one is it says to request, consider requesting these labs from your wellness provider. And that would be your high sensitivity C-reactive protein, CRP, which is one of the SNPs we look for. Your IL-6 has to do with your immune system. Your TNF-A, inflammation, fibrinogen, which I cannot even tell you what that is, and ferritin. So our reports aren't just saying, this is the SNP you have, this is what it means, here's what you need, what's going to be in your supplement. We also provide lifestyle hacks and labs that you can show and share with your provider to help determine where you are with that. And then we also usually ask people to take a 120-day challenge. Do your custom formula for 120 days. Start off getting your labs run and end with getting your labs run and see what your numbers look like.
Dennis actually has a question for you, but I'm wondering if you could help our friend Hunter here. He's got a problem. Irish, half Portuguese. Heal me. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do that. That sounds like a lot of cabbage and whiskey, but so I'm not sure if we can actually heal you there. But Dennis, you did have a question for Sarah.
Yes, I did. And basically, I love the idea of this, and I love that this is something that's now actionable. But the like so much in society, it's like, who can afford it? How much does this cost an average client? And how accessible is this going to be to people? Is this something? Clearly, it's not just for the ultra rich, but. But I'm just curious about what the price on this would be for the average person, because clearly you say that everything's individualized, but sort of a range perhaps.
There is no range. There are set prices, and if you do any kind of research, let me first delineate between the difference between like what we do and what most DNA companies do. Especially those, Hunter, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. We don't look at where you're from. We don't look at if you have blue eyes or green eyes, if you have, your middle finger's longer or shorter than the others. Those things are irrelevant to us and what we do. We are specifically focused on health. That's all we look at. We are also the only company who is able to take your genetic information with nutritional peer-reviewed study information and combine them into a custom formula. So the cost of that, up until a few years ago, the cost of having a genetic panel done for health reasons, not talking about the ancestry stuff or that kind of thing, would run in the thousands of dollars. And there are still places that's what it will cost you. Our genetic test, our DNA test with genetic panel reports is $297. And that is complete. That's your kit. That's the DNA test, the panel, and all of the reports. And it shows you what your custom formula would include and how much. If you chose to do the custom formula, it's $149 a month. If you do it on a subscription, it's $169 if you choose not to.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, that makes it it's pretty clear there than what that cost is, and it is it's not out of reach of most people, I would say.
No. And if somebody's really wanting to, if somebody's in a financial situation, I would be happy to talk to them and see if there's something we could do. We don't have like a huge, there's not a scale, but I work very closely with the CEO, and I have no problem going to her and saying, hey, can we do something here?
Right.
I also want to point out that for a lot of people, they think, oh, that's, $150 a month is a lot for vitamins. There's a huge difference between having a going out and shopping, going to your grocery store or your drugstore or the local health food store and pulling a bunch of bottles off the shelf, which can actually run to be a whole lot more, and what we do. And the biggest difference is, number one, you're not buying things that you don't need. We all need certain nutrients and minerals as human beings. Some of us need to supplement with them and some of us do not. And that's what this genetic information helps us understand. I'm going to use a real simple one like vitamin D. Everybody thinks they need to take vitamin D. They need to take extra vitamin D. That's not true. If you do not have a genetic SNP on your vitamin D receptor, your VDR, you don't need to supplement with vitamin D. I mean, as long as you're eating a fairly healthy diet, you're going to get it. You're able to be outdoors, you're able to be in the sun, which helps that process. You don't need to supplement with vitamin D. If, on the other hand, you have genetic SNPs on that receptor, then you do need to supplement, but you don't necessarily need to take as much as TV celebrities and fitness gurus tell you have to, because they're looking at a one size fits all. Oh, if you have, everybody needs to take this much. Well, that's not true. It's just not true. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. While Stephanie's in a good space,
okay.
Her son has, she's had to deal with dietary issues with her son, and she's got a question, and she's kind of sitting still. So I wanted to bring her up to ask her question real quick.
Awesome.
Yeah, no. So what you described is incredibly affordable. I don't know. Are you guys still hearing me, or are we good?
Yeah, you got a little bit of delay, but we can hear you.
Okay, great. So with my older son, we experienced a milk condition. I don't know if you've heard of PANDAS or PANS before, but what we saw in an inset with the PANS that he does is that there's like a disconnect between his stomach and his brain, because he always feels like he's hungry now since this started. That has been going on over 7 years now, and until today, we have done extensive, genetics and other things. I took him to a nutritionist. That was not helpful at all. So I guess my question is, is it just the supplements that you work with when you get it back, or is there more in with it? We've spent thousands of dollars on genetics and look at his gut health, at his microbiome, stool sample, all of those things, and it's like you really have a handle on what you guys are doing there. So I'm really excited for this conversation. I'd love to hear more.
Zach, I wasn't able to understand what the condition was that she.
It's an affliction called PANS or PANDAS. It is a leftover from chicken pox, I believe. Stephanie, yes or no? It's chicken pox. Oh, okay. Well, there's a childhood affliction. Okay. It's a misfire in the immune system that has where the body attacks the brain. So, but there's a lot of studies going on right now with genetics, and it causes inflammation and other difficulties. And one of the things it does is like I remember this from trying to help out PANDAS a couple months ago. Many times strep induced. That's what I was looking for. So, once a kid has strep throat, a lot of times that something stays in their system and it causes this, and it just makes it worse. But like medications for autism, which is what they're probably going to give you, makes it worse. And so, but one of the things that they're finding out, some of the foods can help calm them down. What just without knowing everything, in which I'll introduce you to each other. And it's I know Stephanie really was interested in this one, but she had this planned out here. But what do you see that you could do for a child like that? That what could be the information that you provide for Stephanie and other parents like that?
I am not going to address that specifically because it is a disease and I am not a medical professional. What I will say is, Stephanie, I would love to talk to you. I actually can put you in touch with our chief science officer, who is, she's a nurse who has worked in the field for 25 years. And she has a plethora of knowledge. I'm sure she's familiar with this. I will say that gut health is one of the areas that we specifically do look at and that we report on, because there is an inextricable connection between our gut health and our brain. Not only our brain health, but how our body functions, how we absorb nutrients. And we all know that if our gut health isn't healthy, and I've even been learning even more about this just in the last 6 months. Here I thought I was, kind of on top of that. But the research that's ongoing, it's incredible. I didn't believe in a leaky gut. And it's like, how could your gut be leaking? Well, now I understand that.
Yeah.
And it can have a massive impact, not only on our gut health helps us absorb nutrients that we need, because you can be putting good stuff in, but if your gut is a wreck, you're not going to absorb those nutrients the way you need to. The other side of that, of course, is if you have a leaky gut, you're getting a lot of toxins and stuff dumped into your body that shouldn't ever be there, that should not be going out into basically the whole, your body as a whole. They should be contained within your digestive system, so they can be eliminated. So like I said, I can't speak to that specifically, Stephanie, but I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you and to connect you with Nurse Andy. She is phenomenal.
Okay, this is the Google definition of what pandas is, and that's really hard to read. So let me try to do this and get a little bit better there. And I'm not even going to try to do the scientific thing because I don't even play a doctor on the internet. But a child may be diagnosed with pandas when obsessive compulsive disorder, tic disorder, or both suddenly appear following a streptococcal infection, such as a strep throat or scarlet fever. So yeah, I know that it's one thing that really affects Sarah. It greatly affects the attitude and bursts of anger and I know that it's one thing where a child will be acting at one age level one moment, and then next thing you know, they'll regress to acting like another. That's what they were talking about. I really want to learn more about this as well, because my foster son, who has been diagnosed with autism, there's a lot in here that the stuff that they were talking about, there's a huge possibility he's also afflicted with this panda. So I cannot wait to get you two ladies together. Patrick, you had a question for our guest. Well, maybe you had a. Let me.
Okay.
There you
go. All right.
Got you now.
I have no idea what was happening. This my system here decided to do the funky chicken. Anyway, so man, I have so many different questions for you right now, because when I'm hearing this, I kind of get excited because my community, the Black community and stuff like that, and I wouldn't just say the Black community, I would say like impoverished communities, right? Mm-hmm. I think this is one of the biggest things. So when I did a lot of inner city work, and it didn't apply just to Black people, it was Black, white, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever. It didn't matter what the nationality was, but usually impoverished communities, nutrition is just such a you know, it's easier to get a gun than it is to get an apple in a lot of these places, right?
Mhm.
And, you know, or they're complete food deserts and different things like that. And, but if, you, if like knowledge is power, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about my mom right now. Like, we grew up a certain way and would not think that nutrition would play a part. I know it plays a part in my health right now. Um, as a veteran, like a lot of the medications and the things that I was taking, they almost died twice in the from um, being overly medicated and misdiagnosed and different things like that. And even with diabetes, like I had diabetes before I came here and was going through severe neuropathy from my belly button down. And that is pain like on another level when it's in those areas and whatnot. And I was just losing all hope. That was part of like my journey into darkness, was just not being able to sleep and different things like that. But then like nutrition is the thing that fixed that. Diabetes has been completely reversed, and it was a long issue, but like now I'm interested in like the genetic portion of it, of like how much further can I actually go, you know, because you know I didn't understand these things as a younger man, but now that I'm, you know, 40, how old am I? 42. I had to think about that for a second. So as I'm 42 years old, you know, and I'm going to this other stage in my life, now I'm thinking about mortality and being healthy and making sure I can maintain as much of my youth as possible. And so is this something like you guys are thinking about to help with just communities and different things like that? Would that be a thing that you would be interested in? Especially in the education portion of it, because like I can see that being like a massive game changer with stuff like that. Because like if you don't know, you don't know, but like being armed with that and possible that, and then like to be really honest with you guys, when you said it was like a $200 and stuff like that, like I was literally expecting to be in the thousands. You know, I used to be a former MMA fighter and stuff like that, and I know nutrition is king, you know, and then but the cost is you don't have any other life besides that nutrition because it costs so much.
Right. To answer your question, as far as working with communities, we aren't reaching out to specific communities at this point, other than our goal right now is we are working with more and more wellness providers, and that can be anybody from MDs, DOs, naturopathic doctors, functional nutritionists, certified nutritionists, chiropractors. We are trying to educate and incorporate that community and get them familiar with what we're doing, because they're the ones who can really start and spread that education process faster than we can as individuals. But we are not specific to any group. I mean, we're all about education. We understand that is key. I've been through my own health issues because of this, that have been reversed because of this. Many people I know have had, you know, really significant changes in their health. Again, it's not a silver bullet. It's not the be all end all. It's not a magic wand, but it is a foundation. Once you have this, then you can really and get things kind of dialed in. Then it becomes so much easier to deal with other things and to know where to go. So yeah, with other communities, I'd be happy to chat with you. That is something that would have to actually obviously discuss with our corporate team if you had some specific ideas. we are, like I said, in the process of doing massive campaigns on educating and like I said, we're focusing with the wellness providers right now just because we understand that they can reach more people than we can individually.
No. Trevor, do you have any questions for Sarah?
I don't have any real questions. I don't know if my video is froze here and you can hear me.
Can
Oh,
you-
yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay.
It just looks like you're sleeping.
Yeah, no,
I was going to say
Honestly,
it's
I'm
like
not-
concentrating.
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
whatever you're
I'm
doing
medi-
is so thought provoking.
yeah, I'm meditating, people. Come on.
Oh,
meditating.
okay.
Okay.
Absorbing. He's
So,
absorbing.
absorbing. Yes, like the sponge in the bath.
There you go.
So with that, I don't really have any questions, but I am concerned about a lot of the things where today we say nutrition, and I know that we came up when we mentioned a little bit about cost. So let me take this to another stage. We come and get tested. We get the footprint or the map to healthiness with the vitamins that you recommend. After a period of time, is it something that we should come back again and be retested? Because theoretically, because you've now given us a better footprint, will that actually change the way our DNA is working? And is it something again that we may have to like repeat again?
No, because our DNA doesn't necessarily change. It's like that's our blueprint, and what we're looking for is those areas where the wiring didn't quite get hooked up right. So we can't fix the wiring, but through nutrition we can. I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. If you're talking about a car engine, a car system, and you can have a wiring issue, but you've got to figure out where the issue is. It may be your rear passenger window, like in mine, doesn't work right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, but finding that is the problem. I know what it's showing up as, but I don't know which wire is the problem. Now, in a car, of course, you can go in and once you find it, you can probably fix the wire. In a human being, we're not quite that. We're not at that level. We're not robots. We're not machines. But knowing how to kind of reroute, or I'm trying to think of a better way to say this, a really good visual. But what we do is we can affect how a gene functions with nutrition. But if you stop giving it the nutrition, it reverts back to its
Previous state.
problem state.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does. No, it
Okay.
does.
So because we can kind of
So basically, we're energizing.
you've heard the term of switching genes on and off. That
Yes.
is the process of methylation. And so if we have a really good methylation, then we're able to do that better. But again, nutrition based. It's nutrition driven. Everything we do, our bodies require good nutrition to function well. That's just the nature of being a human being, and pretty much any biological creature.
But wouldn't this almost be like that 120-day challenge thing that what he's asking?
Well, the 120-day challenge is something we encourage people to do so that they can see for themselves the difference that it is making in their body. Because sometimes, for me, I had a whole bunch of things that are very visible. One of them, my hair started growing back in. It's not 100%, but it's better than it was when I started, significantly. My varicose veins, spider veins, like cut in half. The most significant thing for me was that I have a health condition, which is it's called abdominal adhesions, and it's an inflammatory response issue, which I did not understand in the past. I was to the point at one point in my life where just walking was painful, and it took me probably 9 months to convince my doctors that it's not a muscular thing. I said, I'm pretty sure I know where this is from. I know my body pretty well. I've been through some things. And they finally agreed and decided to do a surgery I was looking at, and were blown away and said that I had this particular doctor was the worst case she'd ever seen. Since I've started, and I was on the verge of looking for another surgery, which I don't want to do because I don't deal well with anesthesia. which I have since learned is because I don't detox well. I do better now because I'm supporting that with my nutrition. But I don't like surgery. It honestly scares the bejesus out of me. But I was to a point where the pain was coming back, and so I was actually considering it again. Fortunately, I found this instead. And within the first year, I started noticing things within the first 2 to 3 months. Within the first year, I was 95% pain-free. Now, is it gone? It's not a treatment, but it's obviously I'm giving my body something that it needs to help control the systems that were creating the problem. Okay. So, but if I stop taking it, I will revert. And I've proven this to myself, which I won't do again.
Okay.
I quit taking it for 3 months. So what we do with the 120-day challenge is because 120 days is roughly the lifespan of a lot of the cells in our body. Not all of them. There's different lifespans, but 120 days, I think it's the red blood cells. So it gives your body a chance to completely have a full cycle of this foundational nutrition so it can start making changes and start doing the things that it needs to do better, or stop doing the things that it was doing that it shouldn't be doing, which was my case. And that's why we suggest if you do that, you do the blood work first, you do the labs first, and then you do them after 120 days. You can see, like with my husband, he has no visible signs of anything happening. But when he joined the Air Force, they put him on 2 weeks of stringent observation because his blood pressure was all over the flipping board. We're talking about an 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid. And his blood pressure was just, there was no baseline. It was all over the board. Come to find out, that's how he's built genetically. His doctor here in town a few years ago, kind of like recognized that. And he's like, what is the deal with your blood pressure? Why are you all over the board? He's like, I don't know. It's just always been that way. Since he's been taking his custom supplement, he doesn't have that problem anymore. His blood pressure is all within normal ranges. And so that's why we talk about the 120-day challenge and doing the labs first and the labs after, so that you can see things you can't see.
Okay. Well, Trevor has a backup question for you, but I'm going to have to ask you real quick. Are you going to be able to join us again some other time? Because this has been fascinating, and I think everybody's got a lot of questions for you. Unfortunately, we've only got a minute or so left. But Trevor, go on ahead and ask your question. And Sarah, I would love to get you to come back on and join us again.
I'd be happy to.
Sure. I'll try and get this down to a one-word answer. I know a one-word answer isn't always possible. So talking about the nutritional side, you advise like the vitamins that we should take. Do you also advise the type of foods that we should be taking, where to source those foods, and being a chef also, how about how to cook more healthily than most people do? Because I think that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of people suffer in the US because of the processed foods.
Across the board, we recommend don't eat processed foods because we all know they're full of garbage, and pretty much everything nutritional value has been sucked out of them. Like I said, the lifestyle hacks do include some of that information, like the one for in the inflammatory response report, getting adequate amounts of essential fatty acids, and it has a link on that term, so it'll take you to more information on what that means. We also have a really extensive blog that talks about some of these areas. What are some different types of nutrients? Why they're important. So we don't go to the point to the level of cooking classes or anything like that. But we're also always looking for people to partner with who would be interested in sharing some of that information.
Okay, well, you know what, Sarah, again, I'm going to have to ask you to come back because there are so many people who want to talk to you. Stephanie said, my thoughts, I love that they are focusing on diet and nutrition rather than shoving medicine at people. Kudos to that. Diet can turn things around from the inside out. And I think that that's one of the greatest things about what you're doing. Mr. Z, thank you very much for joining us. I know that you've got to run. Stephanie, thank you for joining us on the road. Trevor, as always, brother, thank you for joining us. Dennis, enjoy your daughter's wedding, and good luck on everything that you're doing. And Patrick, we will see you here in a couple days, right? So, but Sarah, thank you so very much for what you're doing. Thank everyone out there. And if you have any questions, please get a hold of Sarah. You can go to her website, which is unzipthosejeans.com. I love that website name, by the way. Unzipthosejeans.com. Or you can email her at sarah@unzipthosejeans.com. Sarah, again, thank you so very much for joining us. And let's get you back on the books for another couple weeks from now, okay?
Happy to. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, thank you all, for everybody. Please make sure that you join us at our new website, which is communitypayitforward.us/footprintsforward. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. And we'll be talking about more mental health and helping people. But thank you all.